Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I'm Stephanie.
I'm Tom.
It's day 2 of our festival unit. And day 1 was kind of fun. It was on Christmas Day that we actually got to talk about Christmas figures who were popular around this time of the season, especially in Western culture. But a lot of people in the East have now adopted Christmas as well. So we're going to continue talking about some of the faces of the holidays and some of the stories behind them. We talked about Santa Claus. Today we're going to go ahead and talk about someone who's a little darker, and that's Krampus. And he's kind of a scary figure. We're going to talk about him and also the Grinch who stole Christmas, by a very famous American author that he's known worldwide, and that's Dr. Seuss. It was also made into a movie, so maybe some of the listeners out there saw the film. I didn't see the film, but it was a very popular book in my house when I was growing up.
Okay, but I just remember the cartoon show when I was growing up, How the Grinch Stole Christmas. I guess it was made into another movie later on.
It was live action with Jim Carrey.
Yeah, that too. I think somebody else did The Cat in the Hat or something, but that doesn't really have anything to do with Christmas. So let's get to it. Let's have some Christmas cheer here and listen to our article read from top to bottom, again, about the Christmas crew, those Christmas characters. The Christmas Crew. Meet the faces of the holidays. Not every Christmas character spreads warmth and cheer, though. In contrast to Santa's benevolence, Krampus is a dark and terrifying figure from Central European folklore. Its name comes from the German word Krampen, meaning claw. Traditionally, it is described as a horned creature with a long tongue, sharp claws, and rattling chains. According to legend, while Saint Nicholas rewards well-behaved children with gifts, Krampus punishes those who have misbehaved by beating them with birch rods. Today, Krampus festivals are held in several European countries, where people dress up in elaborate costumes and participate in parades. Another mischievous character associated with Christmas is the Grinch, conceived by American author Dr. Seuss. In the classic children's book, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, the Grinch is initially portrayed as a grouchy green creature who despises the holiday and everything it represents. Living in isolation above the joyful town of Whoville, he schemes to ruin Christmas by stealing all the decorations, presents, and food. However, when the residents show no sadness and instead sing Christmas songs with joy, the Grinch undergoes a transformation. He realizes that the true meaning of Christmas goes beyond material possessions, but in the love and connection between people. Once a creature who hated the holiday, the Grinch becomes a character filled with warmth and affection. As the holiday season comes, these diverse characters bring a sense of wonder and excitement. They remind us that Christmas is not only about the sparkle of lights or the thrill of receiving gifts, but also about the stories that spark our imagination. Okay, let's get to it. Again, we're meeting the faces of the holidays. Last time, of course, we talked about the history of Santa Claus. And here it begins by saying, not every Christmas character spreads warmth and cheer, though. So we always think of Santa Claus as being a very generous guy, very benevolent, but not every Christmas character is like that. In contrast to Santa's benevolence, Krampus, as I read it, I guess you're supposed to say Krampus if you're speaking German, that's a dark and terrifying figure from Central European folklore. So if something is terrifying, it's very scary. And yes, Krampus here is a dark and scary character that came from the folklore of Central Europe. Central Europe, I guess, would include Germany, but it could include, I suppose, the Czech Republic and places nearby.
Yeah, terrifying just means really very, very, very frightening. I consider it to be more scary than just frightening. Terrifying is really, really scary. It could be shocking, it could be horrifying, but terrifying makes you so scared you can't even move. So he was a very dark figure. Dark here can also mean evil, and I think that's what it means here. So he came from, as Tom said, Central European folklore. I wanted to mention folklore, guys. You don't want to put an S on it. It's different stories from different cultures around the world, but it's always non-count. They can be traditional stories. They can be legends, beliefs, even customs that are passed down through time. So typically, they're not always true. There might be parts of them that have some truth, but most of it's just made up and just kind of fun.
Indeed. So, of course, this is a figure from Central Europe that's kind of scary, very terrifying.
Yeah.
And its name comes from the German word Krampen, meaning claw. Okay, so if you're studying German, there you go. Krampen means claw, like which, cats have or whatever. And traditionally, it is described as a horned creature with a long tongue, sharp claws, and rattling chains. So this is how it's traditionally depicted or traditionally described. It's a horned creature, like a bull. It's got horns coming out of its head. It's also got a very long tongue that's probably sticking out of its mouth. It's got sharp claws that could, cut into you or cut into various things. And then it's got chains that it's dragging with it. Maybe the chains are wrapped around its body, and they are rattling. When chains are kind of dragged across the ground, they make kind of a rattle sound.
Kind of sounds like Lucifer or Satan when you talk about people being sent down to hell. Hell, this is kind of how they would describe hell being. Chains, you have no freedom. You can't move. Chains are those metal links that are connected together. They're often put on prisoners, right, when they're arrested and sent to jail. They have chains on them so they can't escape. Shackles is another word. But this guy sounds awful. You mentioned a cat having claws. I would consider maybe a tiger or a bear. That's a better animal choice for having claws. Cats have little, what do you call them? We don't call them claws. What do we call them? Oh, the claws are the
Well, they got
sharp
paws.
Paws, yeah.
But at the end of the paws
they
are
have
claws.
those sharp, thorny things that stick out that a lot of people cut off their cats when they live indoors, but that's not fair to the cats. It's a way to protect themselves. And if you declaw them, it takes away their protection. I understand why, though, because cats love to claw furniture and carpeted walls and carpet on your floor. I know that.
Give them a scratching post. That might help things out.
Train them. Mm-hmm.
Train them to not claw your furniture and things like that. That's why they declaw cats pretty much. But in any case, this is how this particular character is described. And according to legend, while St. Nicholas rewards well-behaved children with gifts, Krampus punishes those who have misbehaved by beating them with birch rods. That sounds kind of painful. It sounds kind of cruel.
It's terrible.
And this is how the legend goes, according to legend. St. Nicholas, of course, rewards good kids. To reward just means to give something to somebody because of something they did or for something they did. You might get a reward, for example, if you help somebody find their lost pet or something like that. I'm going to offer a reward for finding my lost dog. I'll give you 1,000 NT dollars. Or something like that. So he rewards those kids because they've been good all year. But of course, we've got kids who are bad, who are naughty, who are mischievous. And of course, Krampus punished those kids because they misbehaved. They did not act well. They were naughty. And he punished them by beating them with birch rods. A birch is a kind of a tree. I guess it's hua shu in Chinese. It's got like white skin or something like that. Mm-hmm. It's very slender. Yeah. I remember seeing a lot of those in northern Minnesota. But if you have these rods, it's like small parts of those trees, basically pieces of wood. And he beats those kids with those wooden rods, and that probably hurts a lot.
Yeah, they used to use these actually long ago to spank kids or beat kids. Those bunches of thin branches were quite thin, so they'd put a bunch together, Tom, and then they would just spank the kids on their legs or the behind, and it would hurt because they're so thin that would kind of whip through
like
the air.
Several of them together.
Oh, yeah, they would put them
together,
exactly. So if you misbehave, you do something wrong, maybe your parents have told you not to do something and you break the rules or you don't obey, you disobey. So miss means bad, M-I-S. If you see that in front of a word, it means bad. So misbehave, bad behavior. And those children would then be spanked. He would punish them by beating them. That's pretty severe. Beat is even worse than spank. Spank just, his parents kind of, going on a little one's diaper. No, especially if they're trying to hurt themselves by touching the stove or something hot. You don't want them to do that. So he would punish those kids, those misbehaved kids, by beating them with these birch rods. Today, they actually have something called Krampus festivals, and they're held in several European countries where people dress up in elaborate costumes and participate in parades. So these Krampus costumes are pretty traditional in Europe, and they celebrate the scary figure, Krampus. If you dress up, it means you're putting on some sort of costume, clothes that are worn to make you look like someone else or something else. We wear costumes, for example, on stage as performers. In movies, the actors will wear costumes. Of course, we wear costumes on Halloween if you want to dress up for Halloween. It doesn't have to be something scary either. You can dress up in lots of different things. Maybe you have a very popular baseball player or football player that you like. You can wear their jersey as a costume. A lot of kids have different types of costumes. Well, they will dress up in these very elaborate, meaning lots of details on them. It's not just wearing a single shirt. They really go to town. If you go to town, you put a lot of effort into something. They go to town and they come up with some really cool costumes.
Right. And of course, if your kid has been bad, you can take your kid to those parades, and maybe some of the marchers in the parade will come out and beat your kid for you so that they can be punished that way, so you don't have to feel guilty. No, of course, they're not going to do that, but, they have these characters, and it's kind of fun, and there are probably parties and food and things to eat, so it's
probably a parade, right?
Definitely a parade with music and things like that. I'm sure it's going to be a lot of fun. Now let's talk about another mischievous character associated with Christmas, and that is the Grinch, okay? And that particular character was conceived by American author Dr. Seuss. Everybody says Dr. Seuss, but I think you're supposed to say Seuss because it's a German word, but nobody says that. It's Dr. Seuss.
He's American. We say it the American way, Dr. Seuss.
The original word is German, I believe, though. But in any case here, he wrote all sorts of books, The Cat in the Hat, Green Eggs and Ham.
He's funny.
Hop on Pop, stuff like that. And he also had the characters as well. The drawings were his as well.
Yeah.
And, of course, one of them was How the Grinch Stole Christmas. He's kind of a green character. And, again, that's a classic book. This character, again, was conceived by Dr. Seuss. If you conceive something, that means you create this thing. It also means that a baby starts growing inside a woman's womb after she gets pregnant. So when were you conceived? I was conceived, 9 months before I was born, basically. So in this particular case, we're talking about the character being created by Dr. Seuss.
Yeah, he's a funny character. He is a grouch. He's always in a bad mood, and he hates Christmas. So we've got several stories that have come down through our culture about people who hate Christmas. And I think the Grinch was just a take on some of the older stories about people who always wanted to spoil the fun. They were party poopers.
Like Ebenezer Scrooge.
Ebenezer Scrooge, yeah. Or someone who's just a spoil sport, always gets in there and is kind of negative and doesn't want to have fun, and they ruin it for everyone. Well, the Grinch wasn't going to allow some kids to have a fun Christmas. Yeah, and like Tom said, if you conceive, you just form an idea in your mind. You come up with something yourself. You think it up, you invent it, you imagine something. So Dr. Seuss gave us one of the great characters in now American culture, which we love. And it's a classic children's book, and that's the name of it right there, How the Grinch Stole Christmas! ! He really wanted to ruin Christmas for a lot of people. They say he is initially portrayed or written about, that's how he's described in the story, as being grouchy. I don't hear people use this word in Taiwan. We use it all the time. Oh, he's so grouchy. Or if someone's in a bad mood, oh, don't be a grouch. Why are you so grouchy today? Some people wake up on the wrong side of the bed and they're in a bad mood as soon as they get up. I like mornings. I don't mind getting up early, but if you're grouchy, you're easily annoyed and you're someone who's in a bad mood. You're grumpy, you could use that word. You're cranky, that's another one. You're irritable. So the Grinch was not in a good mood.
Yes, he was a green creature as well, and he despises everything to do with Christmas. To despise something just means to really, really hate something. And we'll continue talking about the Grinch in just a couple of seconds, but we're going to take a break right now and listen to our Chinese teacher.Hello
everyone, 我是 Patrick. 今天讲解的是 The Christmas Crew, Meet the Faces of the Holidays. 好，圣诞节有很多传奇人物，不止圣诞老人，而且呢，也不是所有人都有机会得到圣诞礼物的哟。相对于 Santa 会送给好孩子礼物，坏孩子会受到 Krampus 的惩罚。Krampus 是谁？大家不熟，对吧？好，答案就在课文里。我们一起看学习重点吧，请看第一段的第一个句子。好，这也算是开宗明义告诉我们这个段落要介绍什么。然而，好，不是每个圣诞角色都散发温暖和欢乐。诶，第一句里面有然而这个字吗？然而不是 however 吗？有啊，就在哪边？在逗点之后的 though。那我们要知道 though 这个字哦。它如果加在句尾的时候呢，而且前面通常都会加上逗点，它是副词哦，不是副词连接词。副词那表示然而，但是不是每个圣诞角色都是散播欢乐、散播爱的。好，那我们看到第二个句子 ，in contrast to， 请同学画起来。in contrast to 就相对于和谁形成强烈的对比。那我们都知道说 Santa 的形象是什么 ？benevolent。昨天课文里面就讲到 benevolent 这个字，那是非常的乐善好施的。那这个 Krampus 是完完全全强烈的对比 in contrast to。那怎么说呢？下面就有描述他的长相有多么的可怕嘛。好，那我们看到第五个句子，他们做的事情也不一样哦。好 ，according to legend， 根据传说。While Saint Nicholas rewards well-behaved children with gifts. Saint Nicholas 这位大善人呢，他会给好孩子礼物。好 ，while 是用来介绍鲜明的对比，所以后面呢，这里看到 Krampus， 当然就是不好的例子嘛。好 ，Krampus 呢，他是会处罚坏孩子的。好，那用 while 连接是最好的，就是而怎么样 Santa Claus, Saint Nicholas 会给好孩子礼物，而 Krampus 会处罚他们。这 while 就相当于我们中文所说的而。再来第二段呢，是另外一个人物 The Grinch。好，他是一个什么样子的人物呢？原来呢也是创作出来的。谁创作的呢？ Dr. Seuss。很多人呢会念 Dr. Seuss， 可是呢据说哦，他本人不喜欢大家念错，好，这里要念 Dr. Seuss。那再来，我们看到第二个句子，在这个童书里面呢 ，How the Grinch Stole Christmas， 那怎么样呢？这 Grinch 把圣诞节偷走了，就有描述到说 ，Grinch 是一个 grouchy 哦，他就是呢脾气很坏，而且呢全身都是绿色 green creature。Who despises 这里的 despise 呢，就是鄙视、厌恶的意思。他很讨厌圣诞节。
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back, guys. This is our second day of our festival unit. And we're talking about the Christmas crew.And we're describing some of the faces of the holidays that have become near and dear to our hearts. We know them because they're in our culture. We're kind of talking about their origins, where they came from, and they didn't all come from the same place, that's for sure. We started out with describing Krampus, who is a terrifying figure from Central European folklore, and its name comes from the German word Krampen, which means claw. Eee. Traditionally, he was a horned creature. He had a long tongue, sharp claws, and rattling chains. And as I mentioned earlier, it kind of sounds like the devil, right? So according to legend, this guy would come along and punish all the kids who had not been really well-behaved kids. And he would beat them using these birch twigs or branches, and he'd put a group of them together and then use them on their arms, their legs, and maybe their little behinds. So it wasn't very fun for the kids. And I'm sure parents would try to scare their kids into behaving better around the holidays by saying, hey, do you want St. Nicholas to come or do you want Krampus to come?
Right. And of course, if you were bad, you'd get a bag of coal for Christmas and not any presents or toys or things like that. And then we were talking about the Grinch, who is a character conceived by Dr. Seuss. And of course, the book was entitled How the Grinch Stole Christmas. And I did want to mention that this is one of the holiday specials that are on TV every year in the United States. How the Grinch Stole Christmas. That's a cartoon program that lasts an hour or a half hour. I can't remember. There's also a Charlie Brown Christmas, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Frosty the Snowman, etc., etc. There are various Christmas specials that kids look forward to at this time of year. So I guess you could describe them as being Christmas characters. Mm-hmm. But again, we're talking about the Grinch. And again, he's portrayed as being very grouchy and he despises Christmas. And living in isolation above the joyful town of Whoville, he schemes to ruin Christmas by stealing all the decorations, presents, and food. So yeah, indeed, in the story, he lives high above this town in the mountains. I guess he lives in isolation. He lives all by himself up there in the mountains above this happy, joyful town, which is called Whoville. And then he comes up with this idea. He schemes to ruin Christmas. If you scheme to do something, you have kind of an evil or a bad plan. So this is his idea, his plan, or he comes up with this scheme, or he schemes as a verb. He schemes to ruin Christmas, and he's going to steal all the decorations, he's going to steal all the presents, and he's going to steal all the food.
Oh, he's going to ruin everything.
What a mean guy.
Yeah, he's terrible. I love how they call it Whoville. It's such a fun book. It's got lots of different kind of crazy characters that Dr. Seuss dreams up or conceived. They're really crazy. Yeah, if you scheme, this word really goes to coming up with plans that are a little bit evil, maybe a little dishonest, or maybe you're trying to trick somebody. Yeah, a scheme. I don't always look at that word as a positive word. So it could be a plot. Maybe you're conspiring to do something. Usually you're trying to trick or fool somebody. So he comes up with a scheme to destroy or ruin Christmas by stealing all the presents, the food, and the decorations. He's a terrible guy. However, when the residents, the people who live in the houses that he broke into, show no sadness and instead sing Christmas songs with joy, the Grinch undergoes a transformation. If you undergo something, you experience it. Usually it's something kind of difficult, undergo an operation, undergo a transformation. To undergo a transformation, though, is to change from one form to another. So he really changes when he sees these people who decide not to be sad about not having their presents and food, but just to be happy that they're still together and they just sing Christmas songs.
Yeah, I think he also ends up talking to a little girl whose name is Cindy Lou Who, and she asks him, why are you stealing all those things? That's part of the story as well. But later, of course, he changes his ways and he realizes that the true meaning of Christmas goes beyond material possessions, but in the love and connection between people. That's nice. I think a lot of kids still expect a lot of presents during Christmas. And then, of course, they're kind of disappointed that they only got a certain number of presents or something like that. So there still is kind of the commercial aspect to Christmas, but still it's more about getting together with your family and having a meal and maybe watching football on the next day.
I have one sister who around 5-6 years ago started telling her kids that one Christmas we're going to, take all of our money and adopt a family and give them Christmas gifts because they don't have enough money. And then the year after that, they would go for a travel experience. So they stopped giving them presents as Christmas gifts. And their kids love it now. It was shocking at first, but I think it's a great idea not to just turn Christmas into something where you receive gifts from other people. It should be about giving. Once a creature who hated the holiday, the Grinch becomes this character who's filled with warmth and affection. Affection just means kindness or a feeling of love or caring for other people, affection. As the holiday season comes, the diverse or very different characters bring a sense of wonder and excitement. They keep that joy inside them. They remind us that Christmas is not only about the sparkle of lights or the thrill of receiving gifts, but also about the stories that spark your imagination. Sparkle is when you get that quick flash of light. We say that diamonds sparkle or lights will sparkle, especially in the evening as people turn on lights. I love that when people put up little lights, especially around the holiday season, especially around Chinese New Year. I love the lights. That's sparkle. A sparkle can be a noun or a verb, but sparkle of lights or the thrill of receiving gifts. What's thrill, Tom?
Thrill is just something that is very exciting. You can get a thrill by riding a roller coaster or something like that. And of course, when you receive a gift, or maybe when you kiss a girl for the first time, you'll experience a thrill, or it will be thrilling, you could also say. And these are also lots of stories that sort of stimulate our imagination. It also reminds me that there are some other characters we did not have time to mention. I can think of some other ones, like, of course, I mentioned Rudolph, the red-nosed reindeer. That's one. My mother used to tell me that there was this character called Billy the Brownie, who would come by and go really fast by your window to make sure you're being a good kid or something like that. And, of course, if he saw you doing something bad, he would go report back to Santa Claus, and you might not get presents or something like that. There might be other characters as well.
I think that's something your mom made up, Billy the Brownie.
Yeah, she got it from somewhere. She's from Milwaukee, so.
That's cute. See, I mean, Tom's American, and I've never heard of Billy the Brownie. So each location probably has their own special stories or traditions. So we hope that you've enjoyed this, and we hope you had a great day off yesterday. We, once again, though, will wish you happy holidays and Merry Christmas. And we're going to listen to our Chinese teacher one more time, and then we'll be back to say goodbye.
那在第3句开始有更多对这个 Grinch 的描述。第3句呢是用分词构句，先说呢他自己住 living in isolation above the joyful town of Whoville， 他自己住。然后呢 he schemes to， 请同学把 schemes to 画起来。这里的 scheme 是当作动词来用，那表示呢他偷偷的谋划要做什么事。在第4个句子后面呢，我们当然知道说整个故事有一个转折点，他后来呢不是那么坏了，他变好了。The Grinch undergoes a transformation， 他经历了转变。动词呢是用 undergo， 请同学要记得。再来，请看到第5个句子的主要动词抱歉，应该是说后面名词子句的动词。The true meaning of Christmas goes beyond， 请同学把 go beyond 画起来。这的意思呢就是超越，不仅仅是，那就是说圣诞节真实的意义并不只是有一些物质的东西而已，重点在后面，要有爱，然后呢要强调人和人之间情感的连结。好，那我们知道 go beyond 这个片语呢很重要，所以老师另外补充一个例句比方说我们知道现在的教育其实很重视思考这件事情，对吧？不再只是单纯要求大家死背。那我们就照一个例句 Good education goes beyond memorizing facts. It also teaches critical thinking. 再一次Good education goes beyond memorizing facts. It also teaches critical thinking. 好，良好的教育不是只叫你一直背，还会教你呢做批判性的思考。 好，再来，我们看到第3段，第3段的第2个句子，请同学呢看到最后面了，就讲到说呢，我们学了这么多关于这些人物哦，圣诞节人物的故事，可以怎么样呢？就了解到说，圣诞节它是 also about the stories that spark our imagination。这些关于圣诞节人物的故事呢，会激起我们的想象力。Spark 这里所指的就是引发、激起的意思。像你说要引发别人的兴趣，你也可以说 spark someone's interest， 对吧？好，那或者引发讨论，我们也是可以说 This will spark a debate。好，以上就是我们针对今天课文内容所做的中文讲解。I'll see you next time.
Okay, that brings us to the end of our lesson for today. It's, of course, after Christmas now, but we're still going to wish you a happy Christmas and, of course, a happy New Year, which is coming up in just a couple of days. So, yeah, have a great time, and we're happy that you joined us for our program today. From all of us here at English Digest, I'm Tom.
And I'm Stephanie.
Goodbye.
Bye.